hectare that's sprayed off this year. 0.85 of the hectare is out in this field. And this will go to grass seed next year, but we have sprayed off the worst of it, so it's not as though we're going in really bad with black grass. But we have been reducing our inputs on wheat, so this would have had 140 kilograms of granular nitrogen, about 4 or 5 kilograms foliar. The nitrogen was mixed with the carbon source. It's only had 40 pounds a hectare worth of fungicide. And actually the Crusoe, this had more fungicide because brown rust reared its ugly head. And we'll see this year whether I was right or wrong. I'm starting to wonder whether I might have pushed it too far, but I don't know. One thing I have noticed in the last week, it was very hot last week and the wheat suddenly went off. Whether because with lower fungicide we're not getting the greening effect from the fungicide, and whether that makes a difference, I don't know. But interesting enough, Robbie and I had a quick nosy in on my neighbour's crops, which are quite green, and I don't think the yield potential is any more out there than here. I think we've got some reasonable good heads, good sized heads, and because it's gone off a bit earlier, are we losing out? Possibly. But I'm still hoping for 9.5 tonne from here anyway, 9.5, 10 tonne from here, and it's only cost me 400, 450 a hectare to grow. So we'll see. I was getting fed up with wheat of spending an absolute fortune and still getting the same yield as before, so that's one of the reasons we trying to lower our inputs. And for me, speaking to a guy from Kent Wildlife Trust earlier, there's a lot of stuff from the water companies and government about capping of nitrogen, ammonia, etc. And I think within 5 years I can see there being a big cap on nitrogen and pesticides, and I want my farm to be ready, for the soil to be ready for that lower inputs, because nitrogen is a bit like an addiction, a drug addiction. The more you put on, the more you need, and you start to wean it off, you start to find that you don't maybe need as much. So I do leaf analysis on this, and we are getting the same amount of nitrogen in our wheat crops this year than I was 2 years ago, but with 20% less nitrogen. So, but how much further I can push it, I don't know. In terms of regulations, the Tories are talking about a pesticide tax and a fertiliser tax. That was in the press this week. I was speaking to a water guy a Nuffield scholar from Wessex Water, and he says the cost of the water companies is £200 a hectare for every arable crop grown to clean the water. So they then turn that round and put that bill on us, you start to question. So for me, the high input, high output cropping for me has probably nearly had its day.
What did you put in before this crop?
This was linseed, with flea beetle.
With the fungicide, use.
Yeah.
It's not preventative. It's as it's seen, or
we'll still do at the tea timings. We'll still do nutrition, and we use foliar biology as well. So you can show you back in the machine. We've got a micro brewer. And the idea is that coats the leaf like a compost tea. That gives you some protection. And the nutrition, the idea of the nutrition is having a balanced plant should be less prone to disease. As soon as you start throwing nitrogen at things, you'll start to see the disease pressure go up, lodging pressure go up. So we're trying to just have a balance. You know, if you put more nitrogen on, you need more phosphate, you need more potash, you need more boron. But people don't do that, and they just have a very green, lush crop. That's my theory. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know.
So with the brewery, you're putting that on earlier on?
Every time I go through, with fungus, at the tea timings.
What are you brewing up? So
it's just a Bacillus subtilis.
Yeah.
And it costs me under £2 a hectare to brew.
Have you left any control areas without the brewery?
No, the guy up in Wolverhampton, he has, and there's pictures. If you follow Tim Parton on Twitter, there's pictures he put up yesterday of with and without biology. And the one without is covered in rust, and the one with is with none. So that is the issue, which with all these kind of things is there hasn't been enough work done on them to quantify it. But for me, it's £2 a hectare. You know, you shouldn't be wasting money. If it's not working, I wouldn't do it. But it's £2 a hectare. It's not something it's not difficult to do.
You're going to go through it anyway.
I'll be going, wouldn't always go through the T0, it depends on the year and what the status of the crop is really.
But I mean, as you're going through, you're going to put your brill on anyway. You wouldn't go on specially just to put it on.
No, I wouldn't necessarily just put the brew on. If I knew it was doing a fantastic job and was going to replace a fungicide completely, then yes, but we don't know that yet.
And you're adding foliar nutrients.
Foliar nutrients, historically we're always short on potassium and magnesium in the leaf, so we use bitter salts and sulphate of potash, which are very cheap.
Oh dear.
Hello. Battery gone.
Guess so.
And are you just doing standard tissue testing, or
I do
what about
tissue
with bricks
testing,
and things like that?
Yeah, I
You
do
did
bricks, bricks and handheld end tester as well. And that's how I know that my end tester results are the same this year that they were 2 years ago, but with 20% less nitrogen.
So where you've cut back the nitrogen, have you got any way of measuring what the micronutrients are doing in the crop? 'Cause
We did work about 10 years ago, did a trial in that where the peas are, did a trial of with and without with about 3 different suppliers over about 10 different plots, and trace element and nutrition showed a yield advantage every time over cost.
Yeah, no, I meant in terms of the nutrients that end up in the final crop.
Oh, the
magnesium
density.
concentration. So there's I was with Neil Banks at Blaiston Estate a few weeks ago, and he was arguing that the nitrogen outcompetes the magnesium uptake systems in the plant. So when you get your nitrogen down, you should be able to get your magnesium levels in the final crop up. And magnesium is a mood regulator in humans. So potentially you've got a saleable benefit. If you can get the marketer of that final crop to sell on, you're not going to be as bonkers because you've got magnesium, you've got more magnesium in your body.
With farmers, so we're bonkers.
No, but other people aren't. So
We're
maybe
beyond cure, but
so, I mean, there's a whole issue with the disappearance of micronutrients, because basically micronutrients will get swamped in the final product by the macronutrients that we've applied.
It's something I know Stephen Jacobs of OFNG is looking into, but I haven't had our wheat tested compared to next door field for nutrients, but I would be surprised if it wasn't higher in nutrients.
Yen do, I don't know if they do it this year, they've always done free grain nutrient sampling, haven't they? So you can just hand it in and get, I mean their concept is nothing to do with human nutrition, it's just merely a fact of, well, it's the final result, isn't it? How have you managed your micronutrients through the season, what's actually ended up in the grain? That's a sort of complementary to that, but it's true that you might well be looking at a future where we'll be trying to find a higher value crop and higher nutrient
Possibly,
content.
but what John Pawsey said to me, Organic Farmer Suffolk, said we struggle to explain to the public what organic is. Good luck with trying to explain about nutrient density and conservation agriculture and all this stuff. It's just, when it comes down to its price.
What type of nitrogen?
Which I'm being a bit cynical, but in the end,
Yeah, if I could sell it to
commodity
Tesco
like
and get some Tesco marketeer out on it, then my vision would be
They'll take the extra
Tesco
margin.
procurement would come back and ask for it. And yeah, but would they just take the extra margin, or would you have some negotiating?
yeah, I know it's something that people have talked about for quite a while, but yeah, I haven't done any work myself into it. Maybe I should be, but
Well, no, there's no market in it yet.
no, there's no market.
And are you using ammonium nitrate? Are you using
So we use urea and sulphur as a compound, 38-0-19 for the first 3 splits. We split it 4 times this year, and the last dose is ammonium nitrate for protein. We did 1 year do urea only, and it's not good for protein.
What about seed treatments? You don't you? Nothing at all.
This was the first year we've done had no seed treatment, apart from the peas which came with seed treatment. Bought in seed, we had no seed treatment, anything. But I will put a liquid down with the seed.
Okay.
Are you spending more money on the seed tests? If you're home saving?
Yeah, we will test. Yeah, we're home, so we will test it. Everything came back clean last year. I don't know. We're going to learn this year, aren't we? Everyone's going to have no near nicks, and it's going to be interesting. We've got a little bit. As an aside, the only place we've got BYDV this year is on the sand. So this field and that field there, you get up to the top and it's sandy, and they've got manganese deficiency in January after 10 inches of rain in the winter, and that's where the aphids went. And that's also where the rust started as well. So everything started up on that sand. So I think we're going to see in the next year, with no neonics, that nutrient differences within fields. You know you've got a poor spot of your field, I bet that's where your aphids want to come in.
Would you get to the point in those areas you don't plant trees then?
No, they're not necessarily bad yielding plants. It was just a learning from this year that next year we're going to have to look harder at the... I was looking at southwest corners under trees and I was finding nothing. I should have been at the other end of the field on the sand.
So you're saying, Andy, are you, that this had no insecticide on?
The only insecticide I've used this year is 3 hectares of linseed.
I see. So when was this drilled?
Last week of September.
Last week of September, and this is the kind of conditions between these woods, isn't it, where you would expect to get aphids?
Yeah, but it's at the top of the hill in the more open areas that we had aphids. But this is better soil. This is nice soil down here, more nutrient balanced crop, and it was not less attractive to the aphids, but at the top it was manganese deficient.
I see.
Roger was saying, well, Roger the agronomist was saying, well, you know, in November we should be putting an aphicide on, and I wasn't finding any aphids. It wasn't until January, when we had all that rain and the crops were getting stressed, that's when I started seeing some aphids around. Put manganese on, but you'll see. One of the potential trials for this spring, autumn, is to do some companion cropping with winter wheat. I think that'll help for the same reasons in the oilseed rape. Having a companion crop with the winter wheat will help for BYDV.
What's the companion crop going to be?
Don't know yet. But it's got to be a companion crop that can take all the herbicide, otherwise you're losing blackgrass. You know, you keep shooting yourself from one foot to the other foot. But interesting enough, we had lentils in that small field over there last year, and after harvest it had Roundup and it had all the pre-em, and the lentils just fine. So that's what started me thinking maybe lentils might be a good idea for a companion crop that will get through the pre-ems as well.
I see.
But what else, I don't know. It's been done in other places and they've seen benefits, but there's all these tools we need to...
And you can knock it out in the spring with a
Yeah.
little cut.
Yeah.
You're
So
growing
do you-
lentils now?
We'll go and see the lentils in a minute, yeah.
So you don't grow second year wheat, do you?
Yeah. No, that field over there will go second year wheat. Yeah, we do. But I do rogue it. I rogue it.
I know.
Everything's going to second year
So
wheat.
latitude doesn't come into you, that's all history.
No,
there.
in our second year wheat, you see about 0.5% within a row. You'll suddenly get one that might be the takel, and again the takel is in the worst part of the fields again. The better soil has no takel. The takel's so expensive.
Oh, I know.
Well, I was
We've
going
had
to say
such
something
big
else.
tagle problems in the past. We've got to do it like addicts, really. We've got to get off it, you know. But now we're direct drilling and not moving the land. Doesn't that help better? It's more
Takel's
solid.
worse in plough ground, yeah. Firmer it is, the better.
Yeah.
But maybe it wasn't a much of a takel year, I don't know. But we haven't seen an issue.
Good structure.
But yeah, whether the reduction in the fungicide has meant the wheat has gone off slightly earlier, I don't know.
Well, I don't know if it's gone off to me too much.
Well, we're under a
Good
tree.
proper wheat.
It has suddenly gone off. I don't know. The combine will tell me what's right. You know, those double overlaps of fungicide that are greener, if they yield more than the middle where I'm going around, then I know I have lost it. I'll be surprised if it does.